Admiral Raddus exploded onto the screen and into our hearts in Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Since then, we've learned a little bit more about his past, and today we'll be covering everything we know so far, and I reached out to Ken Napzok, who's the biggest Raddus fan I know, to tell us what makes Raddus so awesome. Raddus was born 65 years before the events of A New Hope. He was raised in the polar regions of his homeworld on Mon Cala, which accounts for his blue skin when compared to the orange or red of other Mon Calamari like Admiral Ackbar. When he was 47, the Empire, which was only 1 year old at the time, entered into negotiations with King Li Char. Raddus suggested the planet secede completely from the Empire, but his proposition was interrupted by the arrival of Darth Vader and 3 Inquisitors who were informed of the presence of a surviving Jedi. It wasn't long before Imperial forces led by Moff Tarkin found reason to justify an attack on Mon Cala. Li Char sent Ackbar to defend the northern hemisphere, and Raddus took up defense of the southern. Raddus very competently held off the Empire using tactics that even Tarkin had to admire. Eventually, Li Char was forced to surrender to stop the loss of life, but Raddus refused the order. He took the 5 cruisers under his command and broke through the blockade. He became one of the first Mon Calamari officers to join the Rebel Alliance. He kept his rank as Admiral, and his ship, the Profundity, which was once a government building on Mon Cala, was refitted into a capital ship. He kept his fiery spirit and desire to face the Empire head-on. When Jyn Erso recommended the rebellion openly attack the Empire's base on Scarif to steal the Death Star plans, he agreed. And when Erso started the attack without the approval of the Rebel High Council, Raddus followed her there. His tactics were instrumental in destroying the shield gate that protected the planet so that the plans could be transmitted to his ship. But the arrival of Darth Vader saw the Profundity disabled, and the Tantive 4 was required to take the plans to safety. Raddus was killed in the attack on his ship. Even after his death, the Mon Calamari people respected his actions and what he stood for. His actions helped inspire the mutiny of Mon Cala and the planet's official joining of the Rebel Alliance. Decades later, the Resistance would name their MC-85 cruiser the Raddus in his honor. And now that we know his story, let's hear from someone who loves Raddus the same way I love Biggs, Ken Napzok from Force Center Podcast and Collider Jedi Council. Knowing that we had to say goodbye to the Admiral too soon, he has prepared an in memoriam for the character.
The Rebel Alliance we know today was not yet fully formed when Mon Mothma General Jan Dodonna gathered with key military leaders and sympathetic politicians inside the Massassi Temple on Yavin 4. As Jyn Erso, on the cusp of the fateful mission to the surface of Scarif, pleaded her case to the fledgling alliance, those in attendance were not yet ready to take the leap into an all-out war against the Galactic Empire. While their trepidation was understandable, Admiral Raddus, proud warrior from the Arctic regions of Mon Cala, was ready to fight. It was not a rushed decision for Raddus, not one of passion without foresight. At the point that Raddus exclaimed, "I say we fight," as rebel leaders debated the next step for the rebellion, he had already seen firsthand what the Empire was capable of. He had lost family and friends, he had lost his king, he had lost a true home. Raddus wasn't just ready to fight, he was ready to die for hope. The newly minted crew of Jyn Erso, Cassian Andor, and the rest of the Rogue One strike force took a brave leap against orders and odds, but Admiral Raddus embodied the true heart of the rebellion by following them to the front line of the rebellion's first organized military strike that would one day lead to a new dawn. In one of the greatest fist-pumping moments in Star Wars lore, Admiral Raddus's Mon Calamari capital ship, the Profundity, and the rest of the Rebel fleet jumped out of hyperspace in the nick of time. "This is Admiral Raddus of the Rebel Alliance," he proclaimed, not just to announce himself, but to declare a movement. There was no going back. The war had begun. Raddus and his fleet fought hard, creatively, and to the bitter end. The Battle of Scarif proved costly, but the victory was immeasurable. Admiral Raddus was killed in the line of duty at the hands of the Empire, but his death, like all that day, was not in vain. After the Death Star fired on Scarif, Raddus sighed, heart heavy, and prayed, "Rogue One, may the Force be with you." He was the soul of the Rebel Alliance in that moment. There was victory marred by death. There was darkness with a long look toward the light. There was pain, there was loss. But beneath it all, there was hope.
Thanks, Ken. If you're not familiar with Ken, you can check him out on the excellent Force Center podcast, which Molly and I have appeared on a few times. Also check out their YouTube channel, and you can see him on Collider Jedi Council, as well as compete with me in Star Wars trivia on the Movie Trivia Schmodown. Finally, catch him on Twitch and on the afternoons with Josh and Kin. Seriously, Kin is like the best guy. He's one of my favorite people on this planet, so go check him out. I'll put links to all of his stuff in the description, but that's it for today. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and consider checking out my Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.